Welcome to the video. Today I'm discussing all things iPhone photography or mobile phone photography. Can it really compete with a real camera? I'm going to break down how I use my iPhone for my photography. I do prefer to use a camera. There's absolutely no doubt about it, but I am super impressed with the kind of images you can now get out of smartphones. I've just picked up the brand new iPhone 17 Pro right here. It's a beauty. I went with this blue colour. Controversial, not the most popular choice. I'm just not cool enough to pull off that orange. And I was tempted by the silver, still am a little bit in my 14-day return window. But I think I want to rock the blue this year. Not that has anything to do with how good a photograph you can take. So without further ado, let's get into it. To be honest, I always prefer to shoot with a camera if I can. There's something really, really nice about having the tactile sensation of a camera in hand. It puts me into such a good creative headspace. I really get in the vibe, I really get in the flow. And, you know, something like my Fuji is just a beauty to hold. And as you would expect from the investment of money into such a camera as an APS-C or a full frame camera, you know, you're expecting good results and you should be able to get exceptional results out of them. But there is always a time and a place for an iPhone photo. You don't always have a camera on you, but let's be real, we most of the time always have our mobile phones on us. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that is another discussion entirely. I run a lot. I do not carry a camera when I am running for obvious reasons, but I always have my phone, and I have got some crackers when I have been out on my runs, sunrises, sunsets, landscapes, all sorts of bits and pieces. And it's such a nice way to document those day-to-day moments you might otherwise miss if you haven't got a camera on you. Since picking up the iPhone 17 Pro, I've got to thinking, like, does iPhone photography really count? Is it still fun? Is it enough? And I think the answer really is yes, I guess. Like, if you're having fun with it and you can produce something that you're proud of and that you like and you enjoyed making, it's still photography. Just because you didn't have a camera in your hand, it's still photography. You've got to compose, you've got to think about your exposure, all of those things that you think about anyway with a camera. And with something like the 17 Pro, you have got some serious capability within the camera. So I thought I'd share a couple of tips and tricks that I use to get the most out of it, both when shooting and then in the edit. So I'm going to split that into two parts for you. I'm not going to do a deep dive into this because there are 1,000,001 videos on YouTube that I've seen myself where people go through the settings. They're great videos. Go and check them out if you want a full run through. But I'm going to give you my top 5 tips to enhance your photos. Firstly, you've got to shoot in RAW. It is an absolute must for me, especially with the sensor that's on a phone compared to, say, a full frame camera. Maybe you could get away with the JPEG a little bit more. If you know me, I shoot in JPEG on my Fuji, but on the iPhone, I always shoot in RAW. This just allows you a little bit more flexibility in the edit, and it gets the most out of the image in terms of dynamic range. So you'll be able to rescue bits and pieces if you should need to. Secondly, underexpose slightly. I find the iPhone tends to try and overexpose, and I don't like that look. And you can also use this to preserve your highlights so that you can keep them and you can bring that back in the edit as well. Tip 3. Lock your auto focus and auto exposure by just tapping and holding on the screen when you've got your composition in place, and it will then hold it. Because if you move the iPhone slightly, it will re-expose and refocus, which is really annoying. Next up, a really simple one. Turn your grid lines on. This is fantastic for composition. Need I say any more? And lastly, just to round up those 4 tips, is to preserve all of your settings. So you can go into the settings menu and you can toggle on settings that you want to preserve. For example, if you've changed grid lines on, you've changed your aspect ratio, you've chosen shooting in RAW. Next time you go into the camera, if you've locked your phone, you don't want all of those to have gone back to their default settings. You want them to be the same. This is a game changer because that's so annoying and you will forget to do it. So hit preserve settings on. Personally, I just toggle them all on so that I don't have to worry about it. Now, you've got that all set up into the editing. Now, that is a tip in of itself. Personally, I probably edit my iPhone photos the most out of any of my photos. As I've mentioned already once in this video, I'm really enjoying working with the JPEGs and the recipes from my Fuji. I do edit my Sony pictures because I shoot in RAW, but quite lightly, to be honest with you. I don't do a huge amount of editing on them if I don't have to. iPhone photos, I do find need just a little bit more TLC because you're lacking kind of that depth. Well, you can get a bit of depth, to be fair. It was actually quite impressive because it's a small sensor. I just find, I don't know, there's something about the images. Sometimes they come out a little bit too sharp, although that's getting better. They look a bit more digital, so I like to de-digitalize them a little bit in my edit. So here's a couple of editing tips. An essential component when importing into Lightroom, which I learned the hard way myself, is you actually need to import from Lightroom itself. Don't go from the Photos app and press share to Lightroom because you won't get the raw image in there. You need to go into Lightroom, hit the plus on the bottom right hand corner and import the image there, and you will be able to see in the top corner there's a little tag that tells you it's a raw image. I like to make some minor tweaks to start with, usually to the color. Personally, I always a little bit more to the magenta tint rather than the green. I find them always a little bit green, and I probably cool the image down a little bit as well, but that's completely subjective. I'll have a little play around with shadows and highlights. I probably drop the shadows a little bit because, again, I find that an iPhone image is just a little bit too, it's got that kind of like HDR, everything's like exposed look, so I like to drop my shadows just a tad. Other than that, not too much. I'll play around with sharpening a little bit. I'll probably drop the sharpening just so that it softens up the image a bit, and as I mentioned, just de-digitalizes it a tad. Now, the real money with an iPhone shot is utilizing masking. I'm not going to go into this in loads of detail because it's quite a big topic, but it enables you to really pull focus to an area of the image that you want, and perhaps even detract from an area of the image you don't want attention to. So sometimes I'll use like a linear gradient from the bottom of the frame to kind of draw into the middle. Perhaps I'll use it on the sky just to bring back a bit of sky. You can use the auto detect sky, auto detect subjects. They're fantastic. Like, Lightroom is so amazing, and you can do this all on your phone. If you want me to make a video on masking, I have actually previously made one, but maybe I'll make a new one. Drop me a comment down below. But this can really just help focus in and give your photo that more professional look, or that more kind of camera look, like real camera look, I think. Anyway, so those are my tips for editing your iPhone shots. But the main thing is, I think you do really need to edit them just a little bit and give them a little bit of a personal spice, a bit of personal touch. So overall, yes, I think the iPhone is absolutely fantastic for photography, and in the right situation can be utilized creatively to make some absolutely amazing images. I've been scattering this video with photos that I've made with iPhones over the years that, to be honest with you, maybe I wouldn't have made if I didn't have the phone in my pocket. And I just really like them. They're really shots I'm really proud of. I've really enjoyed making, and I wouldn't have said they're any less of an image than something I've taken with my camera. In certain instances, I can't even tell if I've taken a photo with my phone or my camera. Some circumstances, a camera is absolutely going to win. And I mean, the iPhone excels in good light, getting better in low light. The experience is not the same as a camera. It's just not. But time and a place for everything. Let me know your thoughts down below. And I am thinking, just because I'm a bit inspired by having a new phone, of maybe heading out and doing a street style POV video with my phone instead of my camera, which will be a bit of a challenge. But if you want to see that, let me know. And if you did enjoy the video, please do consider giving it a thumbs up, a like, that is a like, a subscribe, and the bell. Well, you know all the things. That would be fantastic. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.